Hello, my dear folks. Welcome to the show. Jack Chow with the G&E TV on East-West Show. Once again, we are talking about water. Speaking of water, we're talking about a definition of California water. California, unfortunately, we are on the slope due to whatever the environment is provided by God. We always have water problem, but not as much as we are talking about now, running into the third summer of a continuous drought, which is record-breaking, though we really have to put our heads together to really seriously be talking about the problem, call it a huge one. And with the water, this problematic, and we tried several times to provide information to you as my dear audiences through authorities. And today with me, once again, my good friend, the big supporter, the water guy, Mr. Ken Mannings. He is the director of California Water Quality Board. So welcome, Ken, to the show.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
All right, good. So what's new about our water?
Well,
Very simple question.
It happens today is there is a little bit of rain today, which is nice to have. It's nowhere near close to what we'd need to get out of this drought.
Not even close.
Oh no, I mean we would need 36 inches of rain over a period of the next few months.
36 inches. It's going to be
a yard.
about this.
Yeah,
a yard.
Yeah, almost a meter.
That's
how much water we would have, and we'd have to have it in such a way that we could get the water into the ground. And so we're far from being close to being out of this drought. But it is nice to get. We'll get I think somewhere around a ½ inch of rain today and tomorrow. So that will be a nice. It'll be nice to get a little bit of moisture.
Half inch versus the 36 inches. You're talking about 72 times.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. It would have to take a lot.
That's
of that.
a lot. That's a lot of water. Right?
Yeah. And we're so late into the season. Here we are in May, and so this will probably most likely be the last rainfall we have this season.
Good. And there is a lot of saying, or even including criticisms about Governor Brown, many of the decisions, whatever, except this one. It's kind of received the kind of unilateral support from all kinds of folks, right, from everywhere. What's your comment as a water guy feels about the executive order, though?
Well, the executive order, which said that he is requiring that urban water users, you and I, would cut back 25%. That doesn't mean 25% for everybody, but depending on where you are and where you live, it could be anywhere from as little as 4 or 8%, or as high as 36%. Right. But the average statewide is 25%. And what they did was they took into consideration the communities that you live in, the amount of water that you used back in 2013. That's the benchmark year, and then they're looking at how much water per capita per people are using in that area, and then they decided on what percentage of water you needed to serve. And in many of the communities where they're using well over 200 gallons per day per capita, that means each person using 200 gallons. That's hard to believe, but that happens.
200 gallons is a lot of water.
It is a lot of water, and those are having those people are feeling the largest amount of requirement, because what's happening if you're using 200 gallons per person per day, that means that outside in your yards, you're using a lot of water, and so that's where they're asking people to really cut down. Is outside in the lawn, watering lawns and watering landscape.
We noticed one thing as a media. We noticed that in the very early days after the announcement of the executive order, there's a lot of overchill welcome about the decision. And later controversies popped out, saying that, okay, what about, how about the agricultural people? And they even brought up the subject of interest group, or even the subject of the union, or the farmers union, so on and so forth, and how come they do not do their part, provided the fact that they are using big majority of our water, though. So you have a take on that?
Yeah, and it's as people ask me, after he came out with the executive order, people asked me, said, what do you think about the executive order, and how is it going to affect us locally? And I said, well, the controversy is not in what he said, because what he said was right. We all need to conserve, and we all need to do it now. I said the controversy is in what he didn't say. he didn't say anything about agriculture.
No.
And he stayed away from that subject during his executive order because agricultural water savings and conservation is going on in a different arena. There's two major sources of imported water for agriculture in the state of California. There's the federal Valley Project, and there's the state project. Both of those have water that comes through the delta and goes south down into the San Joaquin Valley. And they provide agriculture with water. The federal project does about 80% of it is agriculture and 20% for urban use. The state project was 80% urban use, 20% agriculture. Both of those systems right now are supplying agriculture with very little water. The federal project has 0 water, and the state project is anywhere from 5 to 20%. And it's now in the 5% range. So there's not much water going. So what's happening is that the farmers are having to make choices about what they're going to keep in production. And many of them have put in high yield products like almonds and walnuts. And those require watering every day, all year long. Where other crops do not require that daily watering. Maybe they require watering for 4 months, and then they're off for a month or two, and then they get back on with another product. So that's the kind of watering that helps save the water system. But when you have to do it every day, that's tough. So what they're doing instead is they're pumping water from underground, and they're depleting the aquifer in the Central Valley by about 2 feet a year.
I see. A simple question, very naive, because without knowing the whole picture about water, though, we might need more, by the way. Are the facts correct? They say that the agriculture people are not sharing the same pot of water with us.
Well, not with us here in the San Gabriel Valley or in other parts of the groundwater is essentially a lake below our feet. And in the San Gabriel Valley, I described to you in a previous one that we've done about this large Lake Tahoe-sized aquifer that we have. And those are all over. The one in the San Joaquin Valley happens to be a huge lake that's underground, and they're pulling their water from that lake, not from ours. But we all share that one central plumbing system that the State Water Project that is bringing water into Southern California. It also supplies water to the agriculture. That plumbing system is all being used universally by urban and agriculture.
I see. You mentioned about they're kind of sucking or pumping 1 foot a year, though. With the water we have so far on the ground, though, how many years that will last? Suppose there's not even a drop of rain.
Well, in the San Joaquin Valley, you could pump water for a decade, probably without any rain. But what happens is that as water levels go down, because that's what would happen, people who haven't put their wells far enough down are going to run out of water. So right now, you may have noticed in the newspapers, Porterville.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Porterville,
you're
for
talking
instance,
about water level.
That's right. So Porterville doesn't have any water. All of the municipal wells and all the private wells in Porterville, there's like 7,000, 10,000 people, are out of water. No water whatsoever.
I see.
And so they're having to bring in bottled water, and they're putting in tanks, and they're importing water by truck, so that those people have water right now because there is no water to be found unless they dig their wells deeper. And there's all the well diggers are so busy, it'll be a year before they get to them.
Does the call by the governor includes the agricultural people for 25% of the cut?
No, but what they're doing is like I said, they're handling it in a different arena. They're cutting their imported water sources, which is forcing them to reduce a similar amount. Agriculture is being forced in two different directions. One, to abandon some crops in areas where there's not as much water, which tends to be the west side of the San Joaquin Valley, especially the southern part. They're also being asked to change their irrigation systems. And so you're seeing a lot, as the new crops are going in, you're seeing more drip systems going in and more direct kinds of watering. So you don't get what they call flood irrigation, where they just open up the trenches and allow the water to run. That's a very inefficient way of watering plants. And so that they're asking agriculture to shift from that over to the drip irrigation, which will save a lot of water in California.
In a more regulated way, right?
Yeah, it could save 30% of the water that they use.
That's huge. That's huge.
Yes.
And there's also, Mr. Manning, a saying that there's some kind of politics involved. Do you think there's too much of politics, or is there any?
There's always politics involved.
I know, but to what extent?
Well, the thing is that there are environmental interests, there are agricultural interests, there are urban water interests. Everybody would like to thinks that their point of view is the one that should be the top billing on the problem. The thing is that all three of those have to work together, and the people that I work with in the state and the people who I work with locally all understand that. Those who are generally active in the industry understand that this isn't an either or. It's either agriculture or it's urban. Surface water storage versus groundwater storage. These are not a question for us. We need all of those things. It's a question of allowing regional or areas. For instance, the San Gabriel Valley as a region needs to decide the strategies necessary for us to be able to survive without imported water. That strategy will be different in Orange County. It'll be different in the San Joaquin Valley. It'll be different in Mojave Valley. So depending on the region, you're going to have to decide locally how you're going to share those resources, how much conservation you're going to do, how much imported water it's going to take, what recycled water, stormwater capture. All of those things are going to go in some cases, desalinization.
Well, yeah, there's in other words, the whole thing is unconditional. Number one, we have limited water, we know already, right? Number two, we have the ongoing drought that you cannot reverse.
Correct.
Whatever we hope, with just a few drops of water, that wouldn't even help. And number three, there's a call to conserve. And then next thing is that you do your part. You tell me what you can do.
Right.
Something
That's
like
exactly
that.
right.
It's a call that you cannot deny, you cannot even refuse.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt that California is in stress.
True.
And everyone needs to do their part. Agriculture, business, urban,
you're right.
residential users,
we do confirm the fact that we have politics, but whatever politics you may play, go ahead and play. But one condition, we have no water to last to support this kind of a style.
That's right. And the politics that's going on in Sacramento are really maneuvering to try and acquire dollars.
Sure.
And because there Proposition 1, which was passed by the voters last year, has $7.5 billion in it for strategies to develop water statewide. And some of that water is directed at certain categories for water. Some of it is more open. And so this politics that's going on is an attempt to try and attract and get most of that dollars towards that interest, whether it be environmental, agriculture, urban use, recycled water use, whatever it might be.
Evidently, that includes the fact that no matter what you take, what politics you take, you may be on the left-hand side or whatever-hand side, whichever side you're on, you need water.
Yes.
And yet the water is limited, right? So do whatever. The call is no politics, has no color.
No.
Water has no color.
It's nonpartisan.
Just nonpartisan, right?
That's right.
Okay, now, today we're talking about California water. Joining me is the Director of Water Quality of California, Mr. Ken Meny. Yes, let's take a short moment now. When we come back with the understanding set as for, there's a lot we can do. And we are obligated, every single one of you guys, including me. So stay with us.